there. And I'm gonna have you all start on your backs today. So if you wanna lay down. Taking some deep breaths. I have continued to think about this idea, which I learned in my yoga training, but the idea of taking our yoga off of our mat. And it's great to have time and space here to practice the sense of calm, the sense of presence, the deep breathing and all of those things. But the hope and the idea is then that we're building up these skills here so that we can take them out into the rest of our lives in other places. So that's kind of what has been on my mind, is us continuing to take our yoga off of our mat in this season, in this winter season. A couple of notes: this is our last session for December, and then we will be off for the month of January. We'll come back the first part of February though, so I'll send out some messages before we start in February as reminders. But yeah, let's just go ahead and settle in. Kind of make sure that you work those shoulders down away from your ears. Let those feet fall open. Relax the arches of your feet. Taking a nice deep breath. Thinking about relaxing all the little muscles in your face, including your jaw, your temples, and your forehead. And then as you start to lengthen your breath, breathing out just a little more, breathing in just a little bit longer, I'm going to read our meditation for today. This is called God Be in My Head. So as we think about taking our yoga off of our mats, sometimes it's helpful to think about God going with us into those spaces as well. So it says, God be in my head and in my understanding. God be in my eyes and in my looking. God be in my mouth and in my speaking. God be in my heart and in my thinking. God be at my end and in my departing. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. But as you lay here on the mat, I'm going to invite you to bring your feet to the mat. And we're going to do some dynamic moves here first to kind of warm up our bodies. So I'm going to invite you to heel toe your feet out as wide as the mat. Allow those knees to fall in together until they're kind of, touching or just closer together. And then we're going to bring those knees up and out, heel toe the feet, the soles of the feet together, allowing those knees to fall down toward the mat. And then just going back and forth. So then bringing those knees up together, heel toeing your feet out, and letting those knees rest together, and then heel toeing those feet back together as you let those knees fall open. If you want to go ahead and do this maybe 5 or 6 times. Continuing to pay attention to your breath. Pausing in one pose dynamically moving until you can pause in the next pose. And then when you finish those rounds, I'm gonna invite you to leave your soles of your feet together, your knees falling down toward the mat, hands to the outside of your thighs for a little bit of support. Taking another deep breath here. Then helping those knees together, bringing the feet directly underneath the knees. We're going to go ahead and straighten that right leg out, hovering it above the ground, pointing your toe if that's comfortable to you, and then moving that leg up toward the ceiling, and then back down, engaging your core as you do so. Again, maybe doing 5 or 6 of these dynamic moves. Just means that we have some movement involved. We're not just pausing and holding and stretching. We're finding the range of motion here as we breathe. And then when you've done your 5 or 6 of those, you can go ahead and bend your knee, placing the foot back on the mat, switching sides, straightening the left leg, pointing your toe, hovering it above the ground, and then moving into that dynamic stretch again, where you're just gently and intentionally going back and forth. You might feel that in your thigh. You might feel it in your hip flexor. You might feel it on the back side of your hamstring and calf muscle as your leg reaches up toward the ceiling. Continuing to breathe. And then when you've done your 5 or 6, go ahead and bend that knee, bringing that foot back to the mat. I'm going to invite you to start doing some mini cat-cows. So we're pressing the low back into the mat, and then we're pressing the tailbone into the mat, allowing the low back to come up off of the mat a little bit. But again, inhaling on one pose, exhaling on the other. Again, doing 5 or 6 of these. And coming back to neutral, we're going to roll to one side, making a little pillow for ourselves with the lower arm. We're going to leave our knees bent, and we're going to leave the heels together, or how do you say that? The inside of your feet together. We're going to open up the top knee up and then down, almost like a clamshell is kind of what I think of. And then again, inhaling as you bring that knee up and exhaling as you bring that knee down. Maybe doing 7 or 8 of these. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and bring those knees back together. We're going to slide that top knee toward the floor and straighten the bottom leg. And then turning our chest up toward the ceiling. You can either reach behind you if you would like for a little added stretch, or you can put your hand on your low back space for a little added twist. But feeling that stretch on the outside of that right glute. Then coming back to your side, leaving the knees together. We're gonna stack them one on top of the other and then roll back to center. Taking our feet directly underneath our, the part kind of directly underneath our knees if you can. So that means that your feet are going to be as close to your body as possible. We're going to leave our arms down alongside our bodies and then press our feet into the mat as we slowly peel up into a bridge pose. So here we're engaging our core, we're engaging our glutes and our hamstrings, and then we're rolling back down, releasing the tailbone last. Now we're gonna scooch those feet away from our body just a little bit. And from here, again, we're gonna press those feet into the mat, coming up into bridge pose, continuing to breathe deeply, always listening to your body. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and come back down. Last one for this series, we're gonna scooch our feet away from our bodies a little bit further, and then press those feet into the mat as we lift the hips toward the ceiling. You're gonna feel how this changes the different muscle groups that you use on the backside of your body here. And then again, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. This time, we're gonna bring those knees together and roll over to the opposite side. And then putting our hand underneath our head for support. And then from here, we are, again, leaving our feet together, but we're lifting that top knee up toward the ceiling and then back down again. So you're really gonna feel that in your glutes. Again, inhaling as you lift and exhale as you come back down. Maybe doing 7 or 8 of these. And then when you're done, you're gonna leave those knees together. You're gonna slide that top knee to the floor and straighten the bottom leg. Then you're gonna twist your chest toward the ceiling, either extending that top arm out behind you if that's comfortable, or you can place that hand on the low back space, turning and twisting. And taking another deep breath. And then sliding those knees back together. We're going to turn back to the center. This time we're drawing those knees in towards our chest and rocking back and forth across that low back. You can come back to center. This time we're going to reach through to take the outside edges of our feet. We're going to open up the bottoms of our feet toward the ceiling, drawing those knees down toward the mat or in towards your armpits. Depends on your body and what's available to you. This is happy baby pose. And if you'd like to deepen this stretch, from here you can press your low back into the mat. You're going to feel that deepen stretch in your hips. And then we're going to go ahead and release that all down to the mat. We're gonna leave the left foot on the mat. We're gonna take the right foot up toward the ceiling, pulling that gently in toward our chest. And then from here, I'm gonna invite you to point your toe, and then you're gonna draw some really big circles with that right foot. And it won't be a perfect circle because you won't probably be able to go all the way across your body because that other leg is there for support. And again, maybe doing 5 or 6 of these, continuing to breathe, exploring the range of motion in that hip. And if that is too intense for you, you can always bend your knee and just draw circles with your knee in the air, either way. When you're ready, you can come back to center, relax that foot, pull it in toward your chest again. And then release that foot all the way down to the mat. Drawing the knees into the chest once more. We're going to reach through and grab the outside edges of our feet once more, returning to happy baby pose. Breathing deeply here. Now that we've stretched one side, but we haven't done the other, you might notice some differences between the different sides of your body. And then releasing those feet back down to the mat. This time we're taking the left foot up toward the ceiling, drawing that leg in toward our bodies. Again, breathing deeply. And then I'm going to invite you to point that toe. This time again, drawing some big circles with that foot. If you need to, you can bring your arms down alongside your body for support. You're going to notice that you're engaging your stomach muscles as you work to make that big circle. Again, just exploring the range of motion here. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and come back to center, relaxing that foot, drawing that leg in towards your chest again. Then again, bending the knee, replacing that foot back on the mat. And we're coming into our last bridge pose. So double checking that your shoulders are away from your ears again, that your arms are alongside of your body for support, and then pressing those feet into the mat as you come up into bridge pose. Making sure that all of those muscles across the front side of your abdomen are engaged. So core is engaged, chest is relaxed. And then go ahead and come down one vertebrae at a time. And then draw your knees into your chest, rocking back and forth across that low back. So then turning to one side or rolling to one side, we'll push ourselves up into a seated position. Straightening out that spine a little bit. Thinking about reaching the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. And then taking the left ear toward the left shoulder. If you'd like to deepen this stretch, you can place that right fist in the small of your back. And releasing that, coming back to center. We'll take the other side, so right ear toward right shoulder, the left fist to the small of your back. And then go ahead and release that, coming back to center, tipping your chin down, rounding your shoulders down, seeing how far you can round down. And then winding back up. Go ahead and take your hands at your heart center, clasping your fingers. We're going to pull straight out from our heart, tucking our chin, again, rounding down, really stretching between the two shoulder blades here. Then again, coming back up, releasing those arms, kind of shaking them out if you need to. And then we're going to come up onto our knees. Working our way up. So from here, we're going to be on all fours. We're going to leave our hips high. We're going to shift our weight to that left palm, reaching up with the right hand if you can. And then tucking that arm underneath the left arm. We're going to come down on top of that shoulder and stretch the left hand forward for puppy dog pose. And drawing that right hand out, we're coming back onto all fours, taking the left hand up toward the sky, and then tucking that underneath the right arm, stretching that right arm forward, again, leaving your hips high. And then coming back to center, back up onto all fours. We're going to tuck our toes and lift our knees about 3 inches off of the mat, coming into bear pose. And then lifting those hips all the way up toward the ceiling if you can, stretching back into downward facing dog, but then also walking those hands back toward our feet for forward fold. Taking some deep breaths here. When you're ready, you can bend your knees. Put your hands on your knees. Start to round yourself up. Coming into mountain pose at the back of your mat. Taking some nice deep breaths here. And while we stand here in this position at the back of our mats, I'm going to read our meditation for us again here. It says, God, be in my head and in my understanding. God, be in my eyes and in my looking. God, be in my mouth and in my speaking. God, be in my heart and in my thinking. God, be at my end and in my departing. So again, taking some deep breaths, thinking about each one of those different areas in our bodies. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale both arms up, bringing palms together, exhale to heart center. And then go ahead and press those palms back up toward the ceiling as we inhale. Exhale all the way forward into a forward fold. Then coming up onto our fingertips with a flat back, or you can always bring your palms to your shins with a flat back. And then as you exhale, coming back down into forward fold. This time walking those hands forward. We're going to step the left foot forward using those two hands, coming into runner's lunge. Once you're ready there, you can lift up into crescent lunge. We're going to go ahead and take those hands back down toward the mat. We're going to blade that back foot, so that means our feet are perpendicular to each other now. And then we're going to lift and straighten that front leg, turning our upper body toward the long edge of the mat. So you have a little bit of a stretch on the inside of this back leg right now. Leaving that right arm down, we're going to lift the left arm up. Taking some deep breaths. Then tipping down, go ahead and bring those arms into warrior two as you bend that front knee. Softening your tailbone down. Then go ahead and bring both arms toward the front again, framing that front foot, allowing the back foot to turn so the heel is up again. We're going to go ahead and step that left foot back to the right. And then pressing our hips up toward the ceiling. We're going to go ahead and walk those hands back towards our feet. Bending the knees. Go ahead and place the hands on the knees. And then round yourself up. Okay, so now we'll do the other side. Inhaling both arms up. Palms together, exhale down to heart center. Inhale both palms up toward the ceiling. And then exhale all the way down. Inhale, come into flat back pose, either on your fingertips or hands on shins. Exhale all the way forward. And walking those hands forward, stepping forward with your right foot this time. Coming into runner's lunge on the other side. Pressing those feet into the mat, lifting up into crescent lunge. Raising those arms. Go ahead and bring those hands back down to the mat. This time turning that back foot so your feet are perpendicular to each other. And then lifting up and straightening that front leg, then turning your chest toward the long edge of the mat. Drop that back arm, lift the front arm. Inhaling deeply here. And then go ahead and tip those arms down into warrior two, bending that front knee, coming into warrior two pose. Again, softening that tailbone down. And then taking both arms all the way down to the mat, allowing that back heel to come up off of the mat. Stepping the right foot back to meet our left. Lift those hips, and then walk those hands back towards your feet for forward fold. Bending your knees, hands on your knees, and rounding yourself up. Okay, we're going to come into our balancing postures. So you need to reposition yourself in the room. Feel free to do that. If you need to hold on to something today, feel free to do that. We're going to start, as always, in our mountain pose. So really pressing those feet into the mat so that all of the muscles in your legs are engaged. Again, pulling that belly button in toward your spine so that way your core is engaged. Opening up that chest.
Relaxing those shoulders down away from your ears. And then from here, start to shift your weight to that left foot, drawing the right foot in toward your knee. So that right knee is forward. And today you have a choice. You can either just try to extend that leg straight out in front, or if that feels like too much today, you can take your finger and thumb around the front toe and then see if you can start to straighten that foot out in front of you. If you'd like to add a little added challenge, you can take it out to the side and then back to the front and then bend and step out of it. Again, we're using that dynamic stretching stuff still. So coming back to center, again, feeling ears over top of shoulders, over top of hips, over top of feet here. Then shifting that weight to the right foot, drawing the left foot in. So your left foot or your left knee is forward. And again, either you can choose to just extend that leg straight out, or you can take the finger and thumb of your hand around that big toe. Once you're set, you can try to straighten that leg out in front of you. And again, if you'd like, try to bring it out to the side and back. And then bending that and letting that come down. Ooh, that's a tough one for today. So shaking that all out, we're going to come back to the back of our mats once more. Doing just a little bit more of our active portion here. So we're going to go ahead and inhale, both arms up, palms together, exhale to heart center. Inhale, palms to ceiling as you stretch up, and then fold forward and exhale. Inhale to flat back. Exhale all the way forward. And walking those hands forward, stepping forward with your left foot, coming into runner's lunge. See if you can leave that back foot where it is and simply straighten that front leg. So you're getting a really deep stretch on the hamstring of your left leg, but also on the calf of your right leg. So you're energetically drawing that back heel down toward the mat. Then go ahead and bend that front knee again. This time bringing the heel, the back heel over top of the ball of the foot, so they're stacked one on top of the other. Then lifting into crescent lunge. Once you're there, you can go ahead and take those hands back down to the mat, turning that back foot, really pressing into that outer edge of your back foot, standing, straightening, and then turn toward that long edge. Dropping the hand behind, lifting the front arm. On your next exhale, go ahead and turn those arms down into warrior two as you bend the front knee. We're going to drop this front hand all the way down to the mat as we allow the back hand to come up toward the ceiling. Then straightening that front leg if you can. Getting a deeper stretch on the inside of that left thigh, left hamstring. Then drawing this right hand down to meet the mat. Taking one hand on either side of that front foot, go ahead and bend the knee. Turn so that way the heel is up toward the ceiling again. Stepping that left foot back. Then lifting your hips and walking those hands back towards your feet. Go ahead and bend the knees and then round yourself up. activity. So again, starting in our mountain pose. Then inhaling both arms up. Palms together, exhale to heart center. Inhale, palms to ceiling. Exhale all the way down. Inhale to flat back. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, walk those hands forward as you step that right foot forward. Leaving your feet where they are. Straighten that front leg. Leaning back into that back heel. Drawing that energetically down toward the mat. Getting a really deep stretch on your right hamstring and your left calf. Then go ahead and bend that knee. This time, bring that back heel over top of the ball of the foot, and then lifting into crescent pose. Once you're there, go ahead and take those hands back down toward the mat. Blade that back foot, so you're pressing into the outer edge there. And you're going to lift, straighten those legs, turn your chest toward the long edge of the mat, drop that back arm, reach up with the right. On your next exhale, go ahead and tip those arms and bend the knee into warrior two. Taking a nice deep breath, dropping that right hand to the inside of that front foot. Go ahead and bring that left arm up toward the ceiling. And then taking that left hand down to meet the mat, framing that front foot. We're gonna go ahead and straighten the leg. And then bend once more, turning the back heel so you can step that right foot back to meet the left. Shifting your hips so that way you can walk the hands back to your feet. Then bending the knees deeply, and rounding up for the last time.
11:47.
Oh, thank you. Very good. That's perfect. So we're gonna come back down to the mat then, because that was the end of our active practice. So, just in time. We're gonna come back down onto our backs, drawing our knees into our chest. Go ahead and rock back and forth across that low back if that is comfortable for you. Or you could also put your hands on the front side of your knees and then go ahead and draw some circles with your knees, first one direction and then the other. Coming back to center, and then take those feet down to the mat. Leaving the left foot there, we're going to stretch the right foot up, drawing that in towards our chest. And bending the knee, take that right ankle across the left knee, dropping that right knee out to the side. The reclined pigeon pose. If you would like, you can draw those legs in towards your chest for a deeper stretch. Breathing deeply still. So leaving your legs there, I'm going to encourage you to take your arms out to either side and then drop those legs off to the left side. So bring them down to the mat. So the bottom of your right foot is on the mat. The side of your left leg
is on the mat. Then from here, engage in your core. We're going to draw that back towards center. Reaching through, pulling those legs in toward the chest once more. And then releasing both feet down to the mat. We're going to take the left leg up toward the ceiling, leaving the right foot on the mat. Again, pulling that in towards your chest. Then crossing that ankle over the right knee, dropping the left knee out to the side. From here, if you would like, you can draw both legs in toward your chest. Slowing down your breath if you can. You may notice that your heart has returned back to its kind of normal rhythm. It's not working as hard as it was when we were in our active portion today. Leaving your legs here, extending both arms out to either side. Drop those legs off to the right side of the body. So again, here you have your left sole of your foot on the mat and the right side of your leg. And then engage in your core. From there, pulling those legs back to center. Using those arms to draw those legs into your chest a little further. Then releasing those legs and feet back down to the mat. I'm going to invite you to heel toe your feet together and then allow those knees to come down toward the mat. Again, you can always take your hands to the outside of your thighs for a little bit of support if you need to. Resting, relaxing. While we stay here, I'm going to read our meditation for us one more time. It says, God, be in my head and in my understanding. God, be in my eyes and in my looking. God, be in my mouth and in my speaking. God, be in my heart and in my thinking. God, be at my end and in my departing. When you're ready, you can start to work those knees back together. You can heel toe your feet out as wide or wider than the mat, allowing those knees to come down toward center. And then once more, drawing those feet back about hip width apart, and then straightening one leg at a time down to the mat. Allowing those arms to come out at a natural angle from your body. Moving into our final relaxation pose. We'll take a few moments of quiet here and then I'll call us back together. And start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, roll to one side. And gently press yourself up into a seated pose. Sitting in a simple seated position, you can go ahead and put your hands in a position that's comfortable to you as I close this in prayer. So God, we thank you for meeting us in this space as you always do. God, we recognize your presence with us, the things that you've taught us this year. And God, we look at nature in this winter season. We recognize that it's a season of deep rest for most of nature. And so God, would you help us in this next season to slow down, to rest, to take the things that we've learned on this mat out into our lives, to be able to have you in our understanding and in the way that we look at things, and in knowing that you are present in our, even in our emotions and in the way that we feel things. God, would you continue to give us your perspective? And would you go with us in this next season? We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.